You know, with the 8th anniversary of MLP being this past month and going into this month a bit, a lot of people have always asked me, well, not all people, but a lot of people, I should say, come out usually during these kind of anniversary events, and they talk about what got them into the fandom or what got them into becoming a fan. And I quite honestly, at first, like a lot of fellow fans and Bronies and Pegasisters, I at first wasn't much into the series. I mean, honestly, as I've said before, I thought it was just going to be what it was originally meant to be. You know, a show targeted at young girls. Because I was so used to seeing that. But over time, something happened, and what Lauren Faust originally wanted to occur not only occurred, but went beyond that. And I didn't think it would affect me, but it did. It affected me to the point that when you look back 6 years ago here on my channel, I came out and I did a video where I said I wasn't a brony, but I respected what was going on. I respected what the series was doing. There were certain things I did like about it, but I wasn't a brony. And then, fast forward about 2.5 years later, and I'm doing a video, well, not only I'm doing an overview of the documentary that Saber Spark, AC Race Best, and others created, but you can slowly start seeing my interest and intrigue and respect and somewhat enjoyment of the series start to increase. And it would be after that that gradually it would start to increase my enjoyment, my respect and everything, and now respect turning into love for that series start to really, really grow to the point that over a year ago I came out on Facebook and then on YouTube, and I basically admitted to the world, live stream and everything, that I had become a brony, which was a complete 180 from what I said 6 years, at the time, about 5 years prior, 4.5 to 5 years prior. So it shows you the effect that the show had and the phenomenon that it's become, because what really started to gain my interest even more so than ever was not just not just word of mouth of what other people were talking about. I mean, even my second oldest sister said she watched the series with her youngest son, who is now 11. She watched the series and thought it was good too, and he enjoyed it. So that was kind of weird. I'm pretty sure by now he's grown out of it, I guess. But long story short, again, it was just through word of mouth and from what I've heard and seen. And then we got, like I said, to that documentary and how they described certain things and how the effects happened. And like I said, before I knew it, I started not only enjoying the show, liking it more. Like I said, enjoying the show, liking it more and all that. But I started to immerse myself into collecting some of the merchandise. From just the regular figures, to the plushes, to the fact that one of my first Funko figures was a Rarity one. Yeah, it was a Rarity figure. And that's hard to believe. And what's surprising is Rarity was one of those characters that really, I think, helped get a lot of the older adults, male and female, intrigued in it, because of the fact that here's a character that you could relate to when you're running a business, trying to also be with family, spend time with family kind of deal, and all that. And they slowly started to integrate a lot of those kind of elements into the show that would go over the heads of the intended younger audience. So yeah, through word of mouth and hearing and seeing what people had to say, and the fact that I saw fellow fans like Lightning Bliss, Dusty Cat, Dr. Wolf, Silver Quill, and many others that are around about, and a little older than me are in my age range and from my generation and coming out and saying they love this series, they love the characters, that was enough to, in a sense, to help sell me on giving this franchise a chance, giving this show the full attention that I should be giving it. And lo and behold, basically 6 years after I did that video where I said I respected everything and enjoyed certain things, but I'm not a Brony, 6 years later, boom, here I am, a year after admitting it, that I've done a 180 and become a Brony and whatnot. Here I am, basically about 6 years later, and not only do I have a majority of the series on DVD, not only have I recorded all of season 8 onto DVD, not only did I go and see the movie in theaters and then get the movie on Blu-ray not once but twice because of the 35th anniversary edition, but basically I did a live reaction to the best gift ever. So, and that was the first time I'd done a live reaction to an MLP episode of any kind. But speaking of best gift ever, one of the other things that really got me intrigued and interested, if not respectable for the series, was it had a subplot that I think a lot of us men and even young boys that, yes, there were young adolescent boys, teenagers that got into the series too, could understand. And that was the whole Spike and Rarity deal. Now, at first, when you first see this, you would probably think along the lines of, oh, it's not really going to go anywhere. It's just a little crush. They'll probably just play it out for like a couple of seasons and that's it. Well, at first you might be right, but then you'd be wrong. Because yes, they did play the whole Rarity Spike thing for a couple of seasons, for about 3.5, 4 seasons. And then it did start to slowly simmer off a little bit to the point that it was still there. And you would have moments and references here and there. It just wouldn't be kind of like in the limelight as much as it was before. That wouldn't be until season 8, to where Nicole Dubach, who took over as executive producer from Megan McCarthy, who took over from Lauren Faust, basically, I guess, decided that if the season 8 theme is going to be about accepting those for who they are and what they are, then probably the best example that's ever been in the show, even before season 8 and before this theme for the season came about, was Spike and Rarity. And that's why, pretty much, if you want to know why it was brought back to the forefront, there's your answer. But getting back to it, it was just, I think, the overall story arc here of Spike and Rarity that really appealed to me, because it's that classic story of you want the girl of your dream. It's the classic story of achieving a goal that nobody thinks you can achieve, that seems to be unattainable, but in the end it ends up being attainable. But it takes time. It takes time. Heck, I even said one of the best examples that I could think of after what happened with Best Gift Ever recently was Family Matters. I basically pointed out, and I even put this at the MLP forums, I said Family Matters for 9 years went back and forth on the whole Laura and Steve deal, gave it a couple of bumps and obstacles to go through, and it wasn't until the last season where you finally got these two together. And ironically, I said that MLP is heading into its 9th season, and take a look at what we got here with Rarity and Spike. But another reason this subplot, if you will, in the series kind of attracted me, because like I said, it basically a lot of us guys, men, young boys, teenagers can relate with that when we are friends, when we fawn over or we are attracted to this beautiful young lady in front of us that we could be good friends with or best friends with, but yet we pine for something more from them. We pine for something more with them. And when I look at Spike's situation, I can relate with that because back when I was in high school, there was a couple of girls that I pined for and I was good friends with. And I've always had these dreams and fantasies of being with and having a happy life with. True, those never came to pass, but I could relate with Spike to wanting to achieve those goals. You know, I've had various jobs throughout the past, what has it been, 17 years where I've kind of gone through the similar situation. And that, to me, is why I can relate with Spike in this kind of I can relate with Spike in his situation with Rarity. You know, he wants to be with her. He wants to be with her, but a lot of fans, and even in a sense some characters in the show, don't think it's possible. And you might be right at first because of the way Spike would be portrayed at times in certain episodes. But I think what the creators did here is very similar to what happened in Family Matters when you think about it, and kind of relatable in real life. And that is they gradually took their time with it. They gradually took their time, they took the proper steps, they let it simmer down for a while with a few hints here and there, and then when the time was right, they brought it back to the forefront, but they waited until certain things happened. One, Spike went through his meltdown, or his molting, thus his puberty, as some people call it, his maturity, his finally growing up into a young adult dragon despite being small, as well as the character development for both characters. To the point that I'm guessing Nicole Duboc said, you know what, it's now or never, let's see what happens. And it basically, it was that story arc, that subplot of Spike Rarity, Sparity, if you will, that got me that really helped me, along with all these fellow adult fans that are around my age generation, get into the series because it was a relatable tale. And I understand how some people feel about the whole Sparity deal. I get that. Some feel it's wrong, some feel it's not right, and hey, look, you have a right to your opinion. If you feel it's not right, if it's wrong. But let me ask you this. If it was wrong, don't you think Hasbro would have stepped in and said, okay, enough of this? Don't you think Lauren Faust would have said, okay, after just these 2 seasons, after Secret of My Excess, that's it, we're done with this? Don't you think they would have done that? Absolutely. But they didn't. Because they knew that this was one of those sub-arcs, sub-stories, subplots that is very realistically relatable. And despite how you might think it's wrong because, oh, Spike's young, he's a kid, again, the question is, how do we really know he's a kid? Remember, Twilight was a filly when she hatched him. And Twilight's magic accidentally had not only hatched him, but had him grow to rapid size right off the bat, and it was Celestia's magic that had to reduce him back to normal. So think about it that way. The point I'm getting at is, though, it's a story arc like that, a sub-arc like that, and basically the appeal that it generated, the appeal and the attraction that it gave towards, like I said, fellow fans, Bronies and Pegasisters that are about my age, in my age range, generation-wise, that really got me more intrigued and everything. And it was also thanks to that documentary that Saber Spark and AC Racebest did, along with others, that got me more intrigued than ever. And then you take a look at the other documentaries came out, like Bronies, and then its follow-up, Bronies 2, and the one that they had, I think, with Andrea Limbrem, the one they had with Andrea Limbrem, you know. So, yeah, all that just really, really, when you think about it, when you give it a chance, will really get you intrigued and interested in seeing exactly why people love this series. Now, again, I understand that there are some that still don't get it, but I guarantee you this, for some odd reason, I don't know why I've got this feeling, but after the series is said and done, whenever that will be, whenever God decides to tell the people at Hasbro, enough's enough, it's time to put Friendship is Magic in, it's time to let Friendship is Magic ride into the sunset. Whenever that time comes, I guarantee you the people that still wonder about why adult fans my age, older, younger, are into this, I guarantee you they'll start binge watching it through services like Netflix, Hulu, YouTube, iTunes, whatever. They'll start binge watching it, and by binge watching it, they'll start seeing the appeal themselves, even though the show or this generation of MLP will be over and will probably be into the next generation by then. But that's neither here or there yet. But yeah, again, with this 8th anniversary, I just thought I'd come out and once again explain how I became a fan and what circumstances led to what led to me being a fan, I should say. And really, that's all I'm going to say on it, guys. So let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. And I'll talk to y'all later.